What should Jorge Masvidal do to revive his career? I was listening to Bisping over the weekend, and Bisping laid out his New Year's fight list. Like, going to this new year, here's some matches I need to see. I want to say he had 3 or 4 or 5, but one of them that stood out for me was Masvidal versus McGregor. Now, I'm here to predict for you it doesn't happen. Do you guys follow any business news? You know who Warren Buffett is? Known as the world's greatest investor. Warren Buffett has bought so many successful companies, but he stayed out of Amazon. And people have come to him and asked him about Jeff Bezos and Amazon. He said, man, I think it's an awesome company. They said, well, will Berkshire Hathaway get involved? He said, no. They asked him why. He said, you want to know why? I had an opportunity to buy it at $8 and I didn't do it. It now is $3,500. And while I think it's still a value and I think it's still a company that's going to grow, emotionally, it's very hard to buy a stock for $3,500 that you didn't buy for $8. And that concept is so true. McGregor versus Masvidal, you know what that would have done 2 years ago? Do you know what that would have done a year ago? And that opportunity was right there. Both guys coming after each other. Conor Red Panty Night, an absolute constant, still a real thing. No matter where in the spectrum it was still number one. Masvidal on the way up. Now, I can tell you guys and remind you until I'm blue in the face. Conor McGregor, who is a 45-pound interim champion and world champion who moved to 55, had no business leaving 55. And likely never was. Dana White is headed out to dinner on the streets of Beverly Hills when a guy with a camera, who turns out to work for TMZ, asks him about McGregor and Masvidal. Now, that guy didn't do that to create something special. He didn't know the sport. He knew a couple of names. He's got a camera and he sees Dana White. He goes into work. He goes into business. So he throws out 2 names that are close enough, and Dana doesn't want to scold the guy. He knows that he's working hard. Dana knew exactly what happened, why the guy even compared a 70-pounder and a 45-pounder. So you know what he was talking about, but Dana was polite. Dana very politely said, no, I want to do that to McGregor. Masvidal is too big. I knew what Dana was doing. I knew why the cameraman asked the question in the first place. I also knew how pissed off Conor was going to be. I came right into my little chair here, told you guys all about it. I said, Conor is not going to like that. By the time that comment gets to Dublin, Conor's going to take that as a challenge and an insult, and he did. And the next time you saw Conor McGregor was at 170 pounds. It was on January 18th opposite Cowboy Cerrone at a sold-out T-Mobile Arena. And when Conor took the fight, he said, I'm doing it at 170 because Dana says I'm not big enough for this division. The whole thing was about Masvidal. That's all I'm sharing with you. That fight, at a period of time, was the biggest fight our industry could have produced. And we didn't do it. We didn't even try to do it. We all wanted it. We didn't even get a comment made on it. Let alone those boys in the ring together. And I'm just sharing that with you. Like, does that fight work? Yeah, sure it works. But you don't think you're a good matchmaker. Anybody can sell a Ferrari. Move a Volvo off the lot. Then you'll impress me. Conor is still the sport's biggest draw. You put anybody against Conor. Don't act like you've done something there. And I'm telling you, I think it's a hard buy at this point. I really do. I think it's Amazon at $3,500 when you could have had it for $8. I think mentally and emotionally it's a tough spot. It still brings you back to the same question. What does Masvidal need to do to revive his career? And Masvidal is very smart. He approaches these things. He studies these things. That's one thing you guys don't know about Masvidal. Masvidal's a thinker. And he understands his sport, but there comes a time. There comes a time where you need an opponent. And as long as you are aware of that time and you go find that opponent, boom, you move right on through that road stop. If you're not aware of that and you think that you can still draw and that you will be the A side and you'll be on the posters and you'll be on the marquee and somebody's going to be lucky to be opposite you, like most guys, they're not aware of their own career. And Masvidal can't force that to happen. He has something very special with Leon. Masvidal appears to me, I'm confident in telling you this, but I'll use the word appears to me, to be putting a lot of eggs in the basket of Kamaru Usman doesn't show up in March, he steps in, 3-piece and a soda gets answered for. It's a risk. It's an outside shot. But I think he's got a real opportunity there to go hard at Leon and hide the fact that he wants the title opportunity, the glitz, the glamour, and the money that comes with it. And I think he can hide that very easily by coming out, telling the world, don't call for me. Don't ask me to fight anybody. My next fight is going to be Leon. Well, Leon's the champion of the world, George, and you're coming off of a loss to Colby. How does that work? And he answers the question. Because Leon isn't going to beat Kamaru. I'm going to wait till Kamaru beats him, and then I'm going to come in and beat him up again. I don't care about the belt. I don't care about the arena. I don't care about the money. I'm coming for Leon. So don't call me out because I got some time on my hands. He's got Kamaru in March, so I probably won't see him till July after he gets his ass kicked. All of a sudden, people are going to be looking at it a little bit different. That would be one option, but that's the way to approach the Leon situation. Every politician you ever see run for office, they're running for the power. They're running about themselves, but they must disguise and convince the voter that they're not. They all want the power. They all want the position. They must convince the voter that that's not why they're running. It's the same thing with guys getting title opportunities and needing the mandate of the masses behind them. The McGregor fight is always going to work. You get opposite Conor McGregor, boom, you're back in a main event. You're back on SportsCenter, but anybody would be. I think that Masvidal, with his skills and his media opportunity, could also start from damn near scratch. The fights that I just laid out with Leon and Conor are ones that in today's landscape fall in your lap. Bob's your uncle and off you go. I think Masvidal is good enough to start from scratch. I think he could do it against Wonderboy. I think that he could do it against Gilbert Burns. These are hard fights. I get it. They're all hard. And one that he should do, one that I've always wanted him to do, and one that he's never done. And I wonder why. And I think it's out of respect. But is Nick Diaz. First time I saw George Masvidal, I was in St. Petersburg, Russia. He was 21 years old and he was walking to the ring. He hadn't even gotten in the ring, let alone fought yet. And he had such an interesting persona. I turned to Matt Lennon, who's sitting beside me. I tap him and I say, someday they got to get this guy and Nick Diaz together. Now it ended up being the other way. It ended up getting Nate in there. But Big Brother Nick avenging, coming in after the fact. I mean, this was talked about. This was discussed. This isn't Chael's idea. Nick had talked about this. Nick was at Madison Square Garden. Nick was in the corner for the BMF title. And it was interesting. And you guys were into it. But Masvidal never co-signed it. He never went for that. I don't know why. I don't know why. I know he knows how big that would be. And I know he knows I'm right that that would work. That's obvious. But he didn't do it. And I don't predict he's gonna. And I think it has to do with respect. And I think that's interesting. So whether we get that fight or not, I do hope someday somebody asks George the question of why he never went for it.